Sam and Troops, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Simply podcast. I am joined by my co-host yet again. I say yet again like he was going anywhere. His name is Remy. How are we doing today, Remy?
Good. Finally doing this early in the morning like we should be. It's good.
Yeah.
Do you know when you said like as soon as you said like, oh, like he's going anywhere, the first thing that popped into my head is like, you know what, I hear Gosha saying that shit.
Yeah.
Wishing I would go away.
For those that don't know, Gosha is his partner. Yeah. It's not Pompey before we say anything, even though I made jokes about that before. Yeah,
yeah, I remember.
He doesn't swing that way at the moment.
So
yeah,
give it a minute.
Well, that's some sort of entrance to the podcast. Team, welcome in. I appreciate you all jumping in today. If you aren't already, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. It does help us out massively. We have, I think we hit that 1,130 mark. So next one is a million. So let's get to a million. So not that I'm setting the targets too high or anything. And team, if you are listening to this on Spotify, on Apple Music, and your Nan's TV, make sure that you are following the podcast as well, because it does all help us out massively. And we are been on this massive kind of growth spike. And we've, you know what? Thank you so much for the support as well on the shorts and
the
on
shorts
the
have been
podcast as well.
off.
Yeah, shorts have been class. So thank you so much for all the support on those as well. So just keep doing what you're doing, being awesome, and sit back, relax, and enjoy this podcast as well. Because today we have we have a gaming style one. We were looking at themes in which we could do for the podcast, kind of good kind of themes that would give you some good information, good clarity on certain subjects.
Yeah, and it just so happened that the Xbox recently held a developer direct, so that kind of just fell into place.
Exactly, yes. So we're here to give you a bit of information about some of the stuff that we've seen, give some of our opinions. We have some maybe slight controversial topics coming up that could divide you or maybe help you make decisions on certain aspects of your gaming experience. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. But team, like I said, do hit that like button. Do comment anything that you do, any thoughts you have on the podcast. Please do let us know. We'd love to know your thoughts. So without further ado, we're going to crack straight in. And as Remy mentioned, obviously there was the Xbox showcase, and there was definitely some very, very exciting things in this that are definitely worth looking forward to.
A few things that took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting, especially for one of the games we're going to talk about, I was expecting just another Left 4 Dead style game.
Yeah, no, I mean, in fairness, Left 4 Dead style game has actually been done
to death.
It's been done. What was it? Back 4 Blood as well was the most recent one.
Back 4 Blood would have been the most recent one. A lot of people were worried that Redfall was just going to be another one of that, and only that with vampires. And thankfully, it's not. Like it's a full on So for those of you who don't know, Redfall is a game by Arcane Studios, one of the studios that was purchased by Microsoft during the ZeniMax acquisition. So what you may know them for is Dishonored, Prey, games of that ilk. Like heavy immersive sims. So Redfall is essentially an open world vampire-based shooter. You can play it fully co-op or solo. It's got like RPG mechanics, loot systems. So it's not just another Left 4 Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I remember seeing the advert for it. That was it. I mean, they announced that a little while back, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was coming out.
That was one of the ones that was announced in the original, during COVID. Everybody held their own conferences, and that was one of the ones that was announced in Xbox's July showcase in 2021, I think, or 2020.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I enjoyed Left 4 Dead when it came out a while back, but in all honesty, it's not really my style of game. Back then, I was only really ever playing it with my friends.
Yeah.
It was it was all right. It wasn't amazing, and I get why people like it, because the fact you could do speed runs, you could do certain challenges with it. I definitely get the kind of template and why that's appealing. But for me personally, it wasn't really something. I would like something a little bit more expansive,
something a bit more engaging,
open. Well, I'd like something a bit more open. I didn't like the kind of. I felt kind of maybe a bit constricted. in some areas. Because you had to follow their direct route. I like a little bit more open, if I'm being honest, but
Hmm.
that's just my opinion
No,
on that one.
I can agree with that. Like they are
Yeah.
at their core, Left 4 Dead, Back for Blood, Killing
Hmm.
Floor. All of these games are very linear, boxed in experiences by design because the
Yeah.
entire gameplay loop of it is just wave after wave after wave of whatever enemy you happen to be fighting, and
Yeah.
it's been done to death. So I'm just so happy that Microsoft and Arcane didn't make the Back for Blood mistake. Everybody was
Hmm.
excited for Back for Blood, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, it's the Turtle Rock Studios, the original developers.
Hmm.
Yeah, like okay, this is dated as hell. Maybe we don't actually want this anymore.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a massive fan of those kind of templates, but I definitely get where they're appealing, 100%. Because like you know what, even when you think about it, right, those style of games they also follow a similar template. Not, well, so see if you get what I mean by this, but they follow a similar template to the likes of your likes of your Mario's and stuff like that. How you have those levels and you do them in a certain time frame,
Yeah, no,
and
I can see that.
yeah, so like I 100% get why it's appealing. It's just not for
It's
me.
more so the
Um,
community aspect of it that has kept it alive for so long. It's not
mhm,
really the game itself that is good. It's a bit like because you and I played a lot of FIFA together back in the day.
mhm.
It's especially with pro clubs. It's the fun that you can have with your friends on it that has kept it alive for so long. That's the kind of thing that they're trying to capture. Oh, like fun with friends. So like buy this microtransaction
Yeah,
transaction,
yeah.
please.
I'm not gonna lie. I was partly there because they needed a fourth. It wasn't really necessarily that I was enjoyed. I don't even know why I bought the game. To be honest with you. But I'm not actually no. I probably bought it because my friends had it, and I was like, I want to be included. So don't leave me out.
Mm.
So I mean, I've done that with a couple games. I think over my time. As we all have, I think. I think we've all been at some stage in where we've bought a game not because we wanted it, but because our friends had it, and we would hear how much fun they were having. We're like, I want to be included, and you get the game, and you're like, it's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's we've all been there. We've all been there. I'm certain we've all been there. Where we bought something.
I'm
Oh,
actually trying to think if I've done that, and the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is I didn't buy it, but Andy made me play CS:GO.
I actually thought, well, was FIFA not one of the ones for you?
No, I it all started with your brother and I ended were in a random game of drop-ins on Pro Clubs on FIFA 16, I think.
Hmm.
That's where I was introduced to everything. So I was playing FIFA prior
Hmm.
to all of this. I just made the wise decision to get the hell out of it.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
definitely get why. All right, fair dues. I mean, if I think of games that I've done it with, I mean, some Call of Duties definitely.
mm,
I've done it with obviously Left 4 Dead, like I mentioned before. Or oh god, trying to think of games now. Potentially Battlefield. I think so. Oh yeah, the newer Battlefield, like Battlefield 5, I did not enjoy slightly. Yeah, there's been quite a few games that I've definitely bought, thinking I'm gonna really enjoy it, and then it's not it. But anyway, back to the kind of Xbox showcase thing. Now obviously there was a few other things they mentioned as well. Minecraft Legends, which we'll come back to in a second or two. Because that needs it. So
you're gonna see in the editing, like my face just lit up because I'm really excited about this one.
yeah,
I got so disappointed. We're gonna get back to that one.
yeah. It's I feel like that one needs its own segment
Yay.
because that is massive. But
Yeah.
yeah. Looking at there's Starfield and there's Forza Motorsport as well. Some of the things as well that we discussed. I mean, I don't know what to make of Starfield, if I'm being honest with you. I mean,
I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can for it. Like I do have a lot of love and a lot of time, as I'm sure most people that play games do.
mhm,
Think how many people do you know haven't picked up and played an Elder Scrolls game, a Fallout game?
yeah.
Like like you may not like them necessarily, and a lot of people had a lot of problems with Fallout 4, but I still thought Fallout 4 was a really fun game. I genuinely enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as New Vegas, wasn't as good as Fallout 3. It followed a more action orientated kind of
Mhm,
path, but I still think it was a great game. And considering it's their first new IP, they're not being held back by the restrictions of their own massive IPs like Fallout, like Elder Scrolls, so they can essentially do something new that they want to do instead of being reined in constantly.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the kind of the pictures and the kind of um potentials with the game, and I could definitely I see Bethesda in this game. Like I can see it in there. There's aspects of it that I can see. Yeah, that's their style of game. Um,
Mm.
I don't know, but what I'm seeing with this as well is it looks different. It looks like as well about a game that I think is going to have a completely different kind of aspect in the sense of the HUD is going to be different. The hub I mean is going to be different. The way that you maybe interact with things is going to be different. I think they're going to change how you play this game because I think of all other, like, I think of Fallout and stuff like that, and the kind of um
See, that for me is the biggest issue that they're facing in terms of
mm,
the consumer base for this. Everybody is going to go into this expecting Skyrim or Fallout in space, and it's just
yeah,
not going to be that.
that's what that's
So that's going to hurt it.
that's what I'm thinking is
You
going
know
to
what I mean?
is going to happen as well. I think it's going to be it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Um, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with this because obviously it's still a fair bit away from being released. I believe.
Mm.
I think was oh, it says coming 2023, so that's probably going to
So
be
I
the
think
end.
I think it's slated for a holiday release.
Yeah. So yeah, it says it says it's 2023, but yeah, I think this could be another one that gets postponed a little bit longer. We'll wait and see with that one. I mean,
I don't really mind I'm not against game delays because,
as
as we've
I,
seen with Cyberpunk,
yeah, sometimes it's needed.
Battlefield 2042, delay those bloody games, man. Just don't release them until they're ready.
Yeah, I think most people will forgive delays, but most people will never forgive bad releases. Um,
Yeah, I can't. No, it's really messing with my brain now because I can't remember his name. He's the creator of Mario. Uh, it's bugging me that I can't remember his name now. But he once said a rushed game is forever bad. A delayed game is eventually good.
yeah, I mean that's a good quote.
Mm.
I know who you're on about.
Yeah,
But
Yoshida or something. I think maybe probably butchered that.
potentially. Now, one game we'll talk about just before Minecraft. The last one is that I wanted to chuck in there was obviously Forza Motorsport.
Mm.
Now for me personally, this is a game I am looking forward to, more for the aspect of the fact that I'm looking for another game that I can play with my wheel. That I will enjoy
Yeah.
because I've got this Logitech G920.
You have the same one as I.
Yeah,
I do,
and
don't you?
I want to play more games on the wheel. I feel like I've restricted myself quite heavily with F1, and I feel like I need to kind of try other games because I do like racing games. I go through phases with racing games. Like I remember back in the days, my first racing game was Need for Speed, and it was on the PC, and that was how I learned what the McLaren F1 was. And then when I went in the rabbit hole, I realized that this was a car that was released on the day that I was born, the 24th of July, 1994 was the day that it was released, and it was the fastest car in the world for a small period of time.
Um,
Yeah, so it was like so that's like my favorite car, and I learned that through a Need for Speed game.
I would be very surprised if you even heard of my first racing game. It was on the original Xbox. It's called Taka Race Driver.
I think I might have seen it. I don't think I've ever looked into it in any way. But
Taka used to be like one of the big like racing brands back in the day, like 20 plus years
yeah,
ago.
I mean, the Need for Speed, you kind of you might understand how I got this game. So it came in like one of these packs where it came with like 10 different games. They're all designed for PC, and I think on there was definitely Need for Speed. What else was on? What else was with this? Oh God, we're going back. We're going back about 20 years. Genuinely, we're going about 20 years ago. How long ago this was? So it had that. There was definitely one or two more games that were really really good. I think it might have had one of the Age of Empires on it. There, Lara Croft, which were games that I never got on with very well. Back then I was
I
awful.
wasn't a big fan of them.
Well, it was more the fact that I couldn't get out the first level. I, I was really bad at it, so I was like,
20 years later, you're still bad at games, mate.
yes, exactly. I was really bad at Lara Croft. All I used to do was keep going to the assault course and just going round and round in circles, not going into the first level because I was like, I can't do this. And then I just bullying the butler. If anyone that has played Lara Croft knows exactly what I'm on about, the fact you bully the butler, because the butler just keeps following you around everywhere and you just keep bullying him. Not that I encourage bullying of any sorts. You just don't do it. But unless it's that butler, fuck him. So
You've really got a vendetta against this butler.
I don't know why. It's 20 years in the making. So, yeah, it's as I was saying before, as a moment, so I'm just excited to have another game that I can use my wheel with, because I really need to branch out and use more racing games with that wheel.
Are you a bit? Would you be a bit more like me? Because this is the reason why I'm a bit excited for the new Forza Motorsport. I prefer track racing games to stuff like Forza Horizon. Like, I loved Forza Horizon 5. I played it to death, but I prefer games like F1, Forza Motorsport, Gran Turismo, these style of racing games. On PC, Assetto Corsa, like those kind of ones.
No, it's I like, yes and no. I like going to tracks that I know, but I do like the customizational progression that you get with likes of the your kind of old Need for Speed style games like Underground and Carbon, those kind of games where there is a little bit of a story with it. And you're going to
I'm the complete opposite. The only Need for Speed games that I ever liked was Need for Speed Shift and Shift 2.
Did you not like Pro Street?
No, the only ones I liked were the track racing ones, which were the Shift games.
Pro Street was more track than anything else, but it did also have that kind of pyramid system where you wanted to beat certain people in certain types of races, which I also kind of liked. Pro Street was quite good. Carbon was probably one of my favorites. Though
what's the one everybody always goes for? The really really brown one. Most Wanted.
Most Wanted, I don't think was one that I enjoyed. I really liked. Undercover wasn't bad. Carbon was definitely my favorite. Underground 2 was my first console Need for Speed, and I played that for the first time when I was in America on holiday, and the villa that we were in came with a PS2 and Underground 2, and I played a lot of that in there, but it's kind of really odd, right? Because you're in America. We were there to go to Universal Studios and stuff like that, and I'm just there wanting to play Underground 2 while we were here on holiday to go to these great theme parks that you only really get to go to every now and then. It's very, very rare. And I'm just like, nah, I want to stay in the villa and play Underground 2. And I'm just like, oh god.
I mean, I'd rather play the game than.
I'm not big on roller coasters, but I like Universal is one of those parks and where it's got a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah.
Like I remember playing going on the Men in Black kind of ride where you're shooting stuff in it. Like that one sticks in my head. Is one that was really good.
I just don't find rides to be that enjoyable. Like I enjoy going bowling or paintballing, airsoft, go karting. I like going to do activities, not just going and sitting on a really trippy sofa.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like, we can say maybe they'll release like a video game theme park, which would be quite good. Like where they just go through eras of different games. Like imagine a Doom ride.
Roller Coaster Tycoon. Oh, okay. I thought you meant like a game.
Roller coasters. Yeah. I used to. I mean, Roller Coaster Tycoon was actually one of the games.
Yeah, that's the one.
That was one of the ones that came with that pack. Because I played a lot of that game. Back in the day.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, no, that was a game I really enjoyed. Hey, I might even stream that one at some point. Just to kind of show how elite that game was.
Mm.
But yeah, moving back, I think it is time to give it's the game some time. The biggest game, probably the biggest announcement of the whole Xbox showcase was most definitely Minecraft Legends. Remy, give me your initial thoughts with this.
I'm excited for this. Like, honestly, I'm a big fan of Minecraft. I wasn't too interested in Minecraft Dungeons, although I am a massive fan of Diablo and games of that style. Uh, but it just Dungeons felt like it was like a dumbed down version of a catering to
Mm.
an audience that wasn't really there for it. Whereas Minecraft Legends, it just it just seems like it's a big mod. It's just a big mod of Minecraft, and it's essentially a open world. Well, obviously it's open world. It's bloody Minecraft, procedurally generated, co-op or single player tower defense game.
Well,
But it's not tower
yeah, this
defense
is
game.
this is a thing.
It's an open world,
Well,
like
for
quests
for
and
for, for
looting.
clarity, team, we had a discussion a little bit of this just off camera, because like there's parts of it that definitely fit the theme of tower defense, but it isn't because 90% of tower defenses you come across all have to follow a rigid format. Well, this is completely open world, and you make it what you
Yeah, and
want.
you construct your own base.
Exactly, yes.
So you
It for anyone that hasn't seen like Minecraft Legends, do make sure you check it out at some point because some of the videos and footage you see for it is very, very exciting to look at. And you know what? You haven't got that long, realistically, to wait for this game to come out. It comes out in April this year, and it does look very, very good. I like it's gonna be one of those where I really don't know how this is gonna be taken because Minecraft's primary kind of audience I wouldn't have described as kind of strategy thinking. So this is maybe a game that is targeted to the older side of the Minecraft audience, for to get them kind of all involved. It kind of gives me kind of Minecraft meets Age of Empires 2 vibes. In some ways, well, Age of Empires 2 meets Balloon Tower Defense. Yeah, like
I mean, I'd play that game.
yeah, it looks very, very good. And the good thing as well about it says like every map again is Minecraft. So
Yeah, it's just procedurally
it
generated. No two games are the same.
exactly no two games are the same. They talk about different kind of strategy. They talk about working as a team as well in it.
So and it does have lore, quests, and a story. By the way, it's not just like it's a you survive wave after wave, blah blah blah. No, it has fully fleshed out story in it. You can play that either as solo or with your friends. And then it also has a multiplayer PvP mode as well,
Yeah, and
which I'm really
that
looking forward
that
to.
that's the part that looked one of the best ones for me. But yeah, there is a lot in this game, and it's gonna be a really interesting when it comes about, most definitely. So
And releases day and date on Game Pass. So if you're not too sure if you want to buy it or not, we 1 month subscription, test it out. If you like it, might buy this.
yeah, I mean, even then, it's like I think most people just keep the Game Pass going after that.
I mean, you may as well.
Yeah, at least there's loads of games on there, and that is definitely one of the biggest successes of the Xbox Game Pass. I mean, I'm pretty sure I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like they were one of the first to do that because I think of all the ones that I think of now. The fact that there is obviously there's the PlayStation Plus. There is it Stadia? Is it? I think it is.
Yes, but so I can't remember the exact timeline. I think Stadia was in concept before Game Pass. I'm not entirely sure. I might have completely butchered that one. But the problem Stadia always had is you had to pay for the service
Hmm.
and then buy the game.
Yeah.
Whereas with Game Pass, it was just you
Well,
pay for the
I feel like
service,
Xbox
you get the
always
game.
had kind of Game Pass there when you think of the games with gold kind of segment. They always had something there. There was always something they were trying to give.
It was the same with the PS Plus games. No, not PS Plus. So is it PS Now or
Well,
whatever?
yeah,
'Cause I don't play PlayStation.
it's PS Plus, I believe, yeah, because I do have the PlayStation in the other room, and I did use that for a little while when I had COVID. So, like, yeah, it's essentially. I mean, I do feel like the quality of games you get with that is probably better, but it's more because I don't think there's actually as many games on PlayStation as there are on Xbox. So, like for example, on that PlayStation Plus, I get Spider-Man, which is obviously one of the best-selling games on that PlayStation, and one of the reasons why so many people got the PlayStation.
Not a fan. Don't like it at all.
That's controversial.
Because the problem I always had with it is this.
Right.
I don't think it's any better than the game it's trying to rip off, which is Batman Arkham Asylum. I just don't think it's any better than the Arkham games, and I didn't even enjoy the Arkham games. I just don't like that style of game in general. It's a very well made, very polished. It does what it sets out to do. The story is engaging, but it's just another third person action game by Sony.
Can't believe I feel betrayed. Like that is what.
Oh, you're a big fan of Arkham, aren't you?
No, I'm a massive fan of the Spider-Man game.
Oh. Okay, fair
like that Spider-Man game is it's pretty much in my top 3. Like the only thing that let it down was me and Andy discussed this at length. The biggest letdown of that whole game is the final boss. At the end is too easy. Like the whole game itself is really, really well made. Like the whole it reminded me so much nostalgia wise of playing the Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1 on the PlayStation years ago, and I thought they did a really good job with this one. The Miles Morales one realistically is a DLC. It's not actually.
It's a glorified DLC.
Yeah, it's not. It's not really a full game in itself. Don't get me wrong, it has a lot in it, but it's not. It doesn't feel like a new game.
It's like 5 hours long.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. It's just realistically, it didn't warrant its own release. But the Spider-Man game itself is a game that I've gone back to play about 3-4 times, and any game that has got a good replayability, it's a really, really good game. So in my opinion, Spider-Man just definitely has one of those has that feeling about it where the replay. Wow, I cannot speak.
Replayability.
I cannot speak. I have forgotten the English that I learned in school. Jesus. So yeah, any game that's got that it's good in my books. Maybe the exception of FIFA, but hell, we're getting to that. Well, yeah, we're getting to that later. So yeah, Minecraft Legends is the most exciting game for me in that whole showcase. I think out of all the games that they mentioned, this was something that nobody was asking for, but everyone wants. So I think this is most definitely a step in the right direction. But
for me, it's a toss-up between Redfall and Minecraft Legends. It's a very, very close thing for me, mostly because I'm such a big fan of Arcane Studios and the games they make, like Dishonored 1 and 2, and even Death of the Outsider. Oh, I just love them. And then Prey as well. Oh, muy bonito.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's a game that definitely to look forward to. A team, I think the vast majority of people I think that would watch this podcast are definitely going to be excited for Minecraft Legends. So like I said, do check it out at some point, because that game is going to be massive. The other ones that are on here, they will do well, but they won't do it nearly as well, because obviously Minecraft is Minecraft. In a day, it's going to attract a lot of people, regardless. So that is definitely going to be a podcast. The podcast that's going to be this podcast you want to stay on, but that game is going to be one that I genuinely cannot speak. Jeez, that is.
Are you okay, man?
I'm fine. I mean, I think I am. This is the problem with me being early in the morning. I just like words and like sentences. It's like, let's just jumble this up.
It makes for a more entertaining show.
Yeah, well, here's open. So, team. So, I think out of the showcase, it's kind of Minecraft Legends. I mean, for yourself, is Redfall, and then for me, it's Forza Motorsport. I think the other games that are in here didn't really hit me the same. Starfield were quite a way away from.
See, I've been playing a bit of that Hi-Fi Rush, the other one that really, really, really enjoyable. Like that game is by Tango GameWorks. You may not know who they are, but you'll know who the director is, or the head of the studio, Shinji Mikami, creator of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, see, this is not controversial. I don't like Resident Evil games, but I like watching Jim play them, but it's mainly because he gets the odd jump scare from them.
much prefer the Evil Within to
Yeah,
Resident
I
Evil.
think yeah, Resident Evil he was playing. I think it was the Village one. Was the one I was watching.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It looked like a good game. Like the actual aesthetics of it looked good. But I didn't really understand what was going on. But I don't know if that's partially because I haven't played any Resident Evil games at all. So that very well could be a
I
possibility.
mean, you're not missing much.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of controversial. Resident Evil games. It's kind of. I mean, in fairness, what was it? Who was it? Oh, Landmine. That's who I was speaking to because he said he loves the games, but he cannot stand the movies and the shows that have been produced around it because none of them.
That's a real shame.
Like like I've definitely watched one of the Resident Evil films. And I'll be honest with you, I could not understand.
6 or 7.
I could not understand the link between them. Now, whether that's intentional or not, I don't know. But I could not see why. Like, where's the link between the movies and the games? Like,
there is no.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was looking at it.
The only one that had any real link was the Resident Evil 2 film, where it had the Nemesis and like the stars in it. But other than that, they're bloody awful.
Right. I mean, team make your own decision on those ones, but yeah, they're not my kind of game anyway, so I wouldn't play them myself. But one thing I obviously, if we're moving on from there, the showcase will be looking at this was a topic I put in here because I feel like this is always going to be a kind of debate forever, pretty much. But as long as they're still producing games consoles, I feel this is always going to be a debate, and that's PC versus console. I put in here. Now, the reason I put this in here is because there's a lot of benefits to both, but it's kind of it's always been controversial. Anyone that has a PC and will claim the PC master race is a real thing. People will always massive advocates for PC gaming, but consoles always sell very, very well. And the overall appeal of consoles is always, the fact that you have this kind of ready to go kind of machine that isn't too expensive. So, well, if you look at a PC, you can buy a ready to go one, but you're gonna be digging deep in your pocket for it. And building it is far too daunting for most people. So it's kind of the benefits of looking at both and maybe helping some people to potentially make decisions on this one. Now, Remy, yourself is on this one, and obviously I'll include myself a little bit on this. You've gone from completely console gaming to now being primarily PC gaming on your gaming laptop.
I wouldn't even say primarily. I think it's just I only play on PC now.
I mean,
I do have.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that you do have the Switch.
Everybody has a Switch. It doesn't count.
It just doesn't count
count
as a console. That's controversial.
Shit. Anyway. No.
I mean, what made you switch first of all?
Well, my Series X bricked. it bricked. What was it? 2 days after my gaming laptop arrived. So I was like, well, I guess I'm moving to PC now.
I've not heard of them bricking. Like, I think that yours is the only one I've ever heard of breaking.
So it can happen to PS5s as well. So what the actual issue was? So if you plug a modern console in, because they all come with inbuilt surge protectors in them. So if you plug that into a socket extender that has a surge protector in it, if you get a surge that goes through it, it will brick the console.
Gee.
That is the official answer Microsoft gave me for getting it repaired.
Really, me? That seems like something they've massively overlooked.
Oh yeah, it's a massive issue that frighteningly few people know about, but thankfully, like because mostly in the first world countries and stuff like that, the likelihood of that happening very, very low because of how stable the power grid is and all that crap.
So basically, Remy's
I live in Belfast.
Remy's an unlucky cunt, basically.
I live in the north of Ireland. It's a third world country.
Like I hadn't seen or heard of this at all before it happened to you, and I still haven't heard of anyone else.
Mm,
I've heard about the overheating issues.
mm,
That's the only actual issue I heard with the Xbox Series X. I mean, obviously, I've got the Series S. Now, the Series S is quite convenient for me. It's small, it fits on my desk, and it's quite cheap. And I didn't need an expensive. I didn't need the X, unless I was planning to fully utilize it. Which obviously, maybe down the line, I'll maybe regret this decision that I haven't got the X. But potentially, by the time I buy the X, there's no issues with it. So it's
mm.
kind of catch 22 is like maybe I'll buy the X down the line and God knows what I'll do with it. I mean, I have a PS4 that's currently gathering dust and I don't know what I'm doing with that.
Mm.
I mean, I also use my PS5 primarily for Netflix now, which is a controversial one because it's definitely it's the better console of that and the Xbox if we're going off hardware. Um, but yeah,
Better for me is subjective. I think they do different. Look,
well,
I struggled.
hardware wise,
Hardware.
it's better. So that's not something we can really argue because hardware in the PS5 is better than the Series S. However, I feel like the
Well,
overall
the SSD is 100% better.
yeah.
They use a lot of the similar architecture when it comes to the RDNA2
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, I just feel like the overall gaming experience for myself personally is just far better on Xbox, and not to mention this is one of the things that I think is one of the biggest advocates as well for console gaming is the fact that you're usually driven to some consoles due to what your peer group has as well. Like I was hardly
Mm.
driven to Xbox back in the day because my peer group had all had Xboxes, and there was only one or two people that we knew that had a PlayStation 3 at the time. Since then, I've just been in the Xbox ecosystem. Now, don't get me wrong, Xbox, and obviously being owned by Microsoft, have features that are all featured in computers now. With
Yeah.
the fact you can join parties and stuff like that off your PC now. So the transition between the two is significantly less.
See, I genuinely don't like. You can debate the whole like PC versus console thing, but I don't think that like PlayStation versus Xbox can be debated purely because I PlayStation is just a console. Xbox is not. Xbox is a service
Yeah.
rather than a console anymore. Because like I'm fully on PC, but I'm still using Game Pass. Using the Xbox app for a lot of my games.
Mm.
Like yes, I use Steam, but I'm still playing on Xbox
Yeah,
on PC.
I can't lie. Some of the quality of games I've seen on PlayStation have been very, very good, and that's been probably like I look at the fact that the reason I bought one was for Spider Man. I was desperate to play
Mm.
Spider Man, but it was a PlayStation exclusive, and I was like, right, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and get it. But it also did give me the useful feature when I was streaming a lot more was the fact that I was able to play PlayStation games with my viewers, and like from the aspect of the fact that I was primarily FIFA, PlayStation had a feature that Xbox didn't, and that was the fact that was the what was it called?
Screen share.
I think you know the feature I'm on about. Basically, one of the
Yeah.
biggest things on FIFA was the fact that you were able to do that, and the content creator was able to open up packs on the other person's account, and therefore it meant that you didn't have to spend massive amount of money. You could open up other people's packs. So it made things a lot easier, especially for content creators wise. So it made a lot of sense for me to get a PlayStation. However, I haven't really played FIFA for a while on that console. But I do also feel though that a lot of the quality of games on there are quite good. I just haven't played like I look at God of War for example. I still haven't played God of War, but that is a flagship game for the PlayStation.
The original trilogy was better.
Yeah,
The story is absolutely amazing.
yeah,
It's
but
the
from the
detail and design,
perspective
soundtrack.
of
The
somebody,
combat is
yeah,
trash.
but from the perspective of somebody that has never played a God of War game, like the games look insanely good.
Oh no, they look amazing, and the story is, as I said, absolutely fantastic. But you fight the same boss 7 times.
Yeah.
You fight a giant enemy, like because you haven't played this, I don't really want to spoil it, and I don't want to spoil it for people out there. But there's this massive creature that you fight.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, dodge, roll, attack, dodge, roll, attack. wait for it to do its animation, attack. Wait for it to do its animation, attack. The combat system in bosses in and I haven't played Ragnarok, so I won't give my opinions on that.
Mm.
But at least for the God of War 2018,
Yeah.
uh, terrible combat system, boring, repetitive, just janky. There's just nothing about it that was appealing to me.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed the shit out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Credit to them, amazing PC port.
yeah.
The PC port for that game, flawless.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a PC as well, so like. I have all the consoles and PC, so I have the overall view. Now, don't get me wrong. I think one thing that puts people off getting PC is the fact that they think, oh, PC gaming is keyboard and mouse, and a lot of people don't like to do. People love the controller. They love a controller, and you know what? It's designed to be ergonomically correct. You know, the fact that it feel comfortable in your hand, easy to use. Like the fact that anyone realistically could pick up a controller and play a game. So they are designed that way, and that is also one of the big advocates for consoles. But bear in mind, you do not need to use keyboard and mouse on a PC. You can use a controller. It's not.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
Yeah, it's not for it.
If I'm playing a first-person shooter, keyboard and mouse. If I'm playing third-person, controller.
Yeah, like this is where a lot of people will stay away from PC game because they feel like they have to use keyboard and mouse. They also feel like it's frowned upon using a controller, which it can be. It definitely can be, but if you don't mind that, then realistically, using it can save you money as well, because you will find that your PC will outlast consoles. But yes, there is an element of convenience with consoles that it's hard to get around, because they do come out cheaper, and not to mention the ecosystem as well that comes with them as well. But
the biggest pro for consoles, and it's something that PC gaming, and because I'm like, yes, I'm fully on PC now, but I still have the urge sometimes. Oh, I would just love to just sit down, whack on the Xbox or whack on a PlayStation and just sit and play. No setup, no fiddling with settings to see you get the quality just right, to get your max frames out of everything, to get it to run precisely the way you like. God of War 2018, the PC port, as a prime example. The first hour of that game was purely me setting it up, getting it to run the way I wanted. A lot of I personally enjoy that. I do enjoy that aspect of PC gaming. But PC will never ever compete with the convenience of a console.
Yeah.
It's simple, end to end. Just leave it alone, plug it in, and play.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah.
But the indie market for games it'll just never be as good on console. Yeah. As somebody who plays a lot of indie games, I realized how much I was actually missing. For the kind of if
you know when you said indie games, right? The first one that came to my head, and I think you know what game this is. I think you know of the game. I don't know if you ever played it, but the game called I Made a Game with zombies in it. No. Oh my god, it's for anyone that has never played this game, make sure you search it out. But I'll try my best to describe this. You're basically it's a bird's eye view game where you are a little person in the middle, and it's kind of waves of zombies. And it's a completely open map. There is no obstacles or anything anywhere, right? But basically, you use the analog sticks, and that's basically it. And you just point your guy in a certain direction, and all these waves of zombies come at you, and then you can get different things. And while you're doing this as well, the person that made this game also made the music as well, and it's literally just him going over and over again, going, "I made a game with zombies in it."
I'm gonna have to play this.
Yeah,
game
it's hilarious and brilliant at the same time. But it's a game that you could easily waste like half an hour on. If you're waiting for something to happen or waiting for something, it's just the sheer brilliance of you know what, I'll wait for Simply Spud to wake up so he can record a podcast. I'll quickly play I made a game with zombies in it, and he's literally just doing this constantly for the whole thing. Is that he just does it in different tempos. It's like, I made a game with zombies in it. I made, and he just changes his voice for it's. Oh no, honestly, it's fantastic. So I highly recommend anyone checking it out and seeing it. It is quite an old game. This was from back in the 360 days. So I don't know if he made another one, but it's hilarious. But yes, we've kind of gone off track a little bit, and I'm conscious of the time, so we need to make sure that we are we're moving on with our because we've got other things planned in here, so we'll make sure that we move on to the next one, which is this one. I don't think we'll spend as much time on because it's a hard one to always kind of debate, but I've titled it template gaming, and what I mean by template gaming is the sense of that nowadays when games are released, they seem to be following a template that is more catered towards all the same people.
All the same things, all the same trends.
You see a lot of the same things in every game now, rather than seeing the individuality.
Developers are afraid. Well, the developers themselves aren't afraid. The money, the people with the money behind the developers are afraid of doing new things. They see what's selling and they want to stick to it.
Absolutely, and it's. I mean, there's that side of it, and there's also the side of the fact of them not wanting to disappoint the market, and unfortunately, the market, for a lot of games, they all want very fast moving and easy to use games nowadays, and that's a good.
God forbid if you had to think when playing a game.
Yeah, it's like FIFA is always the one that I think of first. It's always the one I think of first. I mean, there's Call of Duty, which we'll get to in a second on this one, but FIFA is always one I think of because the gameplay on it. When they release the game, the gameplay 9 times out of 10 is actually quite good. However, it's more manual defending, so you actually have to position players, and you have to think about where you're positioning players. You have to have a football mind about it. And the problem is, a month into the game, loads of people are complaining. Now, the people that are complaining aren't the ones that have bought FIFA for the past, 15 years. The people that have played it for the last 15 years have been begging for this kind of game. And then as soon as they get, oh, this is class, I'm really enjoying this. But everyone in the FIFA community knows that the game completely changes when the first patch comes out. When the first patch comes out, that game then goes to such a generic FIFA where defending is kind of automatically done for you, and realistically, the skill gap in the game dramatically reduces. And it's almost like EA are scared to have that game where there is a skill gap, where people have to learn because...
Well, yeah, that's why EA are facing so many lawsuits in regards to like gambling addiction, like children buying FIFA points and stuff like that. Same thing with Epic Games. They're afraid to do things that, because you're not going to sit and spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on Ultimate Team, whereas somebody who's younger and a little bit more naive will.
Yeah, or so unless your name's Andy.
He's spent way too much, man. I don't know why he does it.
Well, we have had many conversations in result on this, and where we talk about
like tens of
we talk about what he could have bought instead, and it's never a good conversation. It's never a good conversation. But it is the games do. I mean, FIFA on its microtransactions that's a completely different topic entirely. We'll save that for another podcast.
Maybe another time.
Yeah, because that's a big snowball topic. That so yeah, it's kind of like there's just a lot of games nowadays, and where the individuality of the games is kind of is very much reduced now. I feel like the quality of games that we're getting are designed. I mean, in fairness, it's not the same. It's not even just the with games. You look at the likes of YouTube and stuff like that now. It's all about fast pace, quick changing, attention grabbing.
Everything sort of feels the same now.
Yes, they're all following, like I kind of said, the same template. It's always about,
because if you don't, you get shafted.
Yes, it's the best example I can give of this, right, is that when I was younger, I was encouraged not to watch Match of the Day, and the reason I was encouraged not to watch Match of the Day was because that isn't real football. When you're watching Match of the Day, they show you the highlights, and it's only the highlights. They do not show you the entire game. And the problem is nowadays is people watching the entire game get bored because they're not seeing these moments instantly, one after
Mm.
the other, and they're not seeing these massive highlights. It's the fact that people get bored now watching football. A lot of we were going through a phase at one point where football was starting to lose interest because there wasn't as many big, massive moments happening
Mm.
constantly, and people wouldn't sit there and watch a 0-0 draw. So it's kind of the same with some games as well. If something's not happening every second, people will click off it. And this is where like FIFA, with their content, they have to keep driving this massive amount of content. You look at some games with content. We have been fed this template that you need content every
Mm.
5 minutes, and you know what? We're gonna get to COD in a minute, but we bring up Halo in this one. You know,
Yeah, you
we
see the effects of not
I I
releasing that
I
content.
I think if Halo was released, that Halo was released about say 5-6 years ago, we wouldn't have been bothered as much by the content not being released. I don't.
No, we
I
would have.
genuinely don't think we. I think a lot more people would have been playing this game, because we've been fed this kind of template, like I said, where you need content every 5 minutes, and it realistically you don't, but you feel like you do, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating because now there's less. Like you get that. Is it dopamine potentially hit whenever content's released? You say, "Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is nice. Oh, this is new,"
Mm.
and it's frustrating. I mean, I don't know what your
It's
thoughts
almost
on
like
that.
it's taking away the um because gaming has a very deep personal meaning and history for me. It's like it's helped me through a lot of horrible times,
Mm,
as I'm sure it has for a lot of other people, yourself
yeah,
included. It feels like the personality and the personalness of gaming has been slowly stripped away.
yeah,
Like to where it's just oh, you're playing this purely for a dopamine hit, not because the game's good, you're good at the game. It means something to you. It's just like, oh well, I'm gonna go, like Foot Champs is one of the best examples. I'm just gonna go on here, do my weekend, gotta get my Foot Champs games in. I gotta get it done to get my packs. Then you don't play it for a week,
yeah.
and you do the same thing. You do that same cycle over and over again, and it's sad to me that Halo is pretty much dead at the minute because of that, because of what way gaming has
Mm,
moved. Halo is dead now.
yeah. Like I said, I just feel like it has gone that route where we need that content. We need that we need to be fed every 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
it's very infuriating. Uh, when you've been gaming for years, and you kind of just like for a game to be popular now, it has to be fed. Um,
Yeah.
and you know what? I look at the likes of now branching out a little bit in the template. We look at the likes of COD, and I can't play multiplayer on CODs nowadays. The last multiplayer I played on COD, realistically, was Modern Warfare 2. Because the games back then were a bit slower, you could relax a little bit while
Mm.
playing them. Nowadays, they're all based heavily on competitive and fast pace. You have to be rapid to play Call of Duty now.
See, I do like as you know, I was a big from everything between Black Ops 2 straight through to Black Ops Cold War. I liked some of the things they were doing with Modern Warfare 2019. I liked some of the things they were doing with Black Ops Call of Duty no yeah, Cold War. Um but
Mm.
the problem with them is I prefer Warzone
Yeah,
because it's slower, more methodical. You have to think. You have to make a plan. You don't
strategy.
just
Yeah,
run in and gun.
yeah, and yeah. So like we look at like some of the CODs that have come out between this one and Call of Duty Warzone 2. I mean, Advanced Warfare for me was an absolute nightmare. I couldn't. I
Mm.
couldn't.
What do you think? What do you think is worse between Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Ghosts, and Infinite Warfare?
Ooh. it's between
That's
it's
tough one.
between. Well, I know a lot of people that liked Ghost, so that one's not in it for me. But it's between Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, and I think I have to. I think I have to go with Infinite Warfare.
Infinite, yeah, because Advanced Warfare pushed the sci-fi stuff just enough to really, okay, this is still a milsim.
Yeah.
Infinite Warfare, no, that Call of Duty should never be sci-fi.
I mean, you think of where shooters started from, and so the first kind of big shooter that really hit the platform was probably Doom.
Doom from 1993.
Yeah. Either Doom or Wolfenstein, either or, were like the big revolutionary games that came out that that had that gunplay in it, and like obviously Doom was one of the first ones with the multiplayer, on your dial-up connections. If you use, like, none of our audience. None of our audience is going to remember unless your name's Andy. So yeah, he's a fossil. So, oh jeez, we could potentially get some backlash off him for this. Hi, Andy.
Hello. Nah, he's not going to listen to this.
Yeah. But this way, if he says something to us, we know he's listening to it. I mean, yeah. So, like. Yeah, it's like the Doom and stuff like that. Obviously, we're kind of revolution, and you just think of where it's come to, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's just overload.
Like, what has happened?
Yeah, it's overload. Like, you don't appreciate the small things now. When the games is like, you don't appreciate so much the graphics now. You want to know what the content's like. You don't appreciate the
story. You don't appreciate the gunplay.
I mean, campaigns.
But what
campaigns? I don't think are nearly as looked for in games now, particularly like I said, shooters anymore. It's always about the multiplayer.
Which is something I really hate because
I used to love the stories.
I love single player stuff.
I used to love the story. Like, when you think of the Modern Warfare story, like that it was introduced in COD 4 and obviously finished in Modern Warfare 3, and like that story there was really good. That was one that people wanted to come back. And the Black Ops one, I think it was Black Ops 1 where it was like, Mason, what does the numbers mean? That one. Like that was good.
Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2 is are probably my favorite Call of Duties.
Yeah, like
that and World at War.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the I love zombies. Like, so Black Ops always for me is always a high up game. Because I just like the gameplay of zombies. It's one of the things I'm actually good at is getting high rounds in zombies. I know, surprise, shock horror. Simply Spud's good at a video game. It's like,
and he's not chatting shit. I've watched his streams, like the Black Ops 3. Zombies.
Yeah, it's one of the few things I can say that I'm actually good at is getting high rounds in zombies. But like,
somebody should just clip that and end it there. One of the things I'm really good at is getting high. And just end it there. The demise and fall of Spud, this once clean man.
Oh,
junkie.
Dear me. You know what? I might clip that and see how it does on TikTok, and then post the longer clip of it and see how that does. Well, we'll wait and see. Right. So yeah, obviously we were talking about the kind of shooters and stuff like that. Now, team, we have me and Remy were kind of talking about the podcast. We're looking at elements that we could have in it. There were repetitive themes that we could have in it. And one of the themes we want was we love to go off on the tangent, both of us, as if you couldn't already tell. So we've decided that we have a set section for kind of story time where either me or Remy will come up with we'll share either a story of our own personal experiences, or potentially of a story that we have heard that we feel is worthy to be in the podcast and worthy sharing with yourselves. So Remy has got one for us, which is in kind of relation to what we were kind of talking about before, I believe. I haven't heard this yet, so if it's rubbish, I wash my hands of it.
Right. So I'm a big history buff, so I kind of just went down a bit of a rabbit hole here because a friend and I were discussing a work about like it's just insane like and funny stories from World War II that it just you didn't really think could actually be a thing. So what I want you to do is I just want you to picture the scene. A small group of Norwegian commandos, basically just Vikings with bloody Tommy guns, skiing down a mountain, fleeing an Arctic Nazi base with 3,000 pissed off Germans chasing them. Why? Because they blew up a nuclear base. Yes, Hitler almost had bloody nukes. What? Like, why does you don't learn this stuff in school? Like, so this was an operation called Operation Gunnerside, and it was in 1943. So, at some point during the early 1940s, Nazi Germany decided they would sort of, kick in the front door and crash on Norway's sofa. So there was a factory up in Telemark that they took over that it made this thing called heavy water. Now, if you don't know what heavy water is, that is a key ingredient into making plutonium for nuclear weapons. So the Allies realizing,
can I ask, is heavy water is it actually heavy?
Yes.
Right. Okay, I'm just checking.
And it's like this weird goopy kind of stuff. It has a few extra chemical compounds in it, and it just so it can contain things like the radioactivity of plutonium, make it safe to work with.
Cool. Right, I'm with you.
So the Allies sort of realizing that maybe Nazis with ingredients for atom bombs, probably not a good thing. So they decided to send 30 British Army officers to sabotage the base. Now, a combination of like bad weather and the Gestapo. Unfortunately, the entire group was killed. So the Allies decided to send something even more deadly. 11 Norwegians. So, because the mission, because of the original sabotage mission by the Allies, the Germans decided to then beef up. So there was like landmines were placed everywhere, thousands of extra troops, like floodlights, and the only way to get into this, because sometimes history needs to sound like it was just made up, but the only way into this was a Nazi-held bridge over a 660-foot drop into an ice gorge. It's like some Bond villain shit. So, because the Germans was, oh no, nobody's gonna scale into this. What the Norwegians did, we'll just scale the mountain. Now we'll just sneak in. So like they snuck into the base, they planted all the explosives, and just to make it sound even more stupid, so they held a hostage, and it was the Norwegian caretaker of the facility, some old fella. He refused to leave the base, so they took some civilians out of the base and freed them, and essentially saved their lives. He refused to leave the base without his glasses. So these commandos, in the middle of a mission to save the world, decided to stop that mission and help this old man look for his glasses. But they still found the glasses, and then they ran away. They were getting chased. It was successful, but just to add insult to injury, they blew up the base, they sabotaged everything. Vikings with Tommy guns, like everything's going well. A couple of the Vikings with Tommy guns decided to go back, and I know, yes, Nazis, horrible people, but at this point, this is just bullying. You're already fucked up their shit. You already just ruined their day. But they just sat on a hill and started shooting at the ferry that was getting them away from the place.
Deary me.
So that was Operation Gunnerside.
Yeah, I can't help it but picture when you say Vikings with Tommy guns with these massive kind of helmets with horns coming out of them, and I don't know. I mean, in fairness, I can't say I've ever heard of Norwegian armies ever. So yeah.
Yeah, played a big part. One of the most important missions in the entirety of World War II, preventing the Nazis from obtaining atomic weapons.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's.
So other people may not find that as funny as I did, but I just love the idea of just 11 Norwegians doing the impossible, running from thousands of troops, and then stopping to help an old man find his glasses.
Right, team. Let me know what you think of Remy's story there in the comments as well. I'll see if I can maybe fit that into a TikTok. I might be able to. It's about 3 minutes to get with TikTok, so I'll wait and see. I think I could potentially fit it in. So we'll see if we get that in there. But yes, so the last part of the podcast that we have is another feature, which obviously this one is exclusively for Remy. And what is happening here is I have asked Remy to come up with a question for every podcast, and it's a question I don't get to hear about beforehand. It's not something that I have any input or control over at all. And this will be for me and any guests as well that we get on as well. And it's a question for him to ask that it could be literally about anything. I could get cancelled today with this, but he has control over it completely. So today, Remy, what have you got for me? I mean, by the way, I should add, we were trying to come up with a name for this. The best name I could come up with was Remy's Queries. If you could,
and all I could think of was a twist on Brainiac Science Abuse. Things that make you go, what?
Yeah, like,
so
if you can come up with a better name for it, feel free to chuck it in the comments. But Remy, what is your question today for me?
Right, I've got a bit of a deep one for you.
Go for
it. So, one of the most common sayings in life is that life is short.
Yeah.
So, why do you do so many things that you don't like, and like so many things that you will never do?
I'd say what? Ooh, right. Okay. So it's why do I do so many things I don't like, and why do I like so many
things that you just don't
do?
Because I know a lot of people that are in that situation, like especially when it comes to employment or like personal hobbies and interests. Like I know so many people that are interested in learning an instrument. They always talk about it, but they never do it.
Yeah.
But they'll sit and do something that makes them miserable.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because there's I think of I might like my job right now. I don't love it, but it is a good job, and it is a means to an end, because that job then allows me to do what I want to do, which is this, because it gives me structure. Although the job I'm doing, it's not like overly interesting, but what they're amazing at is giving me freedom, and that's something that I always desired. Now, obviously, I've done things beforehand where I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not really invested in it, and obviously now I've gotten myself to a position now where I am very content in what I'm doing now, but it's not where I want to stop. It's not where I want to be in, say, another 5 years. In another 5 years, I'd love to be doing this full time if I could potentially manage it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I think if you'd asked me that question potentially a few years ago, I think it
would have hit hard.
I think it may have hit me hard. I think I've got more control over myself at the moment. I feel like I've got like I am now doing what I enjoy more, and not just admiring it from the sidelines. Like I kind of get the kind of questions coming from. So liking things that you don't do, it's kind of like I mean, obviously, yes, I'd love to learn an instrument, but I've got no rhythm in my body at all, so there's no point. I think of things, anything else that I mean, it's hard one to think of things that I love that I don't do now, because I am very much, I put myself out there very heavily. Like I make sure that if there's something that I want to do, I go and make sure that I find a way to do it. So it is a thought-provoking question. It really is a good one, because I'm trying to think of things in my head right now that I love but I don't do, and it's almost put me.
You're fortunate to be in the position
it's made me quite happy in some ways, because I think of it
like you realize you're not wasting as much time as you may have, like as you said, like a couple of years
yeah
ago. Like putting into perspective, like what are you doing just to get by versus are you like, if you're not, there's a difference between life and living.
Yeah.
I agree. If you're not actively out simply being alive is not life. That's not living. If you're not living, then you're just waiting around slowly dying.
Yeah, like I said, I struggle to think of anything right now that I love that I don't do, and
Coaching.
bugger, yeah, you've hit it on the head.
Coaching.
Yeah, coaching is the one thing I wish I was doing more of. Like I love helping people, and I love helping people develop as well. And coaching was one of the aspects I'm good at that I haven't really done in a little while. But that's not because I don't want to do it. It's because of I am prioritizing right now content creation. I am chucking myself at this more to get to a point to I can see the goal in head. So it's not necessarily yes and no with the question you've kind of asked. It's more the case of I know I'm going to be doing it, so I am therefore content with not doing it right now. So therefore, it again means to an end. I'm doing this now to then be able to do more things I want to do in the future, which I think would be most people's answer to kind of that question. A lot of people will do things that they don't want to do straight away to then do the things that they want to do at a later date. I think that's probably going to be, I would imagine, a lot of people's answers now. Now, to be fair, you might have just, someone might say, I haven't got any other option. That could be someone's answer to that question. Like, I haven't got any other option. I cannot do that.
Simply pays the bills.
Exactly, yes. People focus so heavily on the money side of things to the fact that they don't have that facility to do. Like, I'm going to bring up something that I learned from my my youth work days, and this was one of the seminars that we used to have to attend quite a lot, which was about suicide prevention. And with suicide prevention, they always bring up the question, does money make you happy? And the answer to that is no. However,
it does supply the things that make you happy.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to do. Imagine that you are a girl that loves horse riding. Now, if you come from a deprived area, you're not going to get the chance to do horse riding. So you can only ever imagine it from afar. Yeah. Well, if you're if you have money, you're able to do that. So
like
money gives you opportunities. It doesn't necessarily make you happy itself.
Money can open the door.
Exactly, yes.
But it's up to the individual to walk through that door and find their own happiness in life.
Yes. So like it's the fact that, you know, money won't make you happy, but it will give you the opportunities to be happy. So, like, so the horse riding one was just one of the examples they gave on the seminar.
Yeah.
I mean, people joke about it sometimes where they say the fact that, you know, money won't make me happy, but I'd much rather cry in my Lamborghini than my Skoda. You know, like, you know, people do make jokes about it, but
that's funny.
But yeah, it's like, I feel like, yeah, money will give you the opportunities to it. If you're, it's down to the individual at the end of the day. It really is.
Then at what point does, because obviously, like, chasing that money to do the things that you want to do, when does chasing a better life become an unhealthy obsession?
Yeah, I would.
Because that'll just keep you going.
Yeah.
Like, when is enough ever enough in that kind of situation? So, like, are you prepared to do something that you hate for 20, 30 years just for that glimpse and hope of something that's maybe going to make you happy?
Yeah,
I genuinely don't think
it's a hard one for me to answer because I personally can't imagine it. I've done so many different things in my life that I could definitely imagine what you're saying, where someone else would definitely get a better answer, but it's a hard one for me to say because I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing right now. And it
is a question for you that I'm asking you directly, but then for any listeners, like, I really have a think about that. Like, and I do hope that it maybe sometimes you have the opportunity within content creation to help somebody. If it's that one thing has the impact of somebody just taking a step back to look at what they're actually doing, and maybe taking a better course of action. Like, I'm not to say what is better and what is worse for people.
Yeah, it's different to every person.
That's up for them to it's up for them to decide that.
Yeah. No. Right. Well, Remy, that was a good question. I like that one. I imagine they'll vary over the time. So we'll wait and see. But team, let me know what your answers are to that question as well. Questions that we asked, he actually asked 2 questions there, so make sure you try and give your response to both of them if you can, because it is a thought provoking one. It does make you think. So no, those ones were good ones, and if you can come up with a better name than Remy's queries, do let us know as well, because
Please do.
that's the best I could come up with at the time, but I might come up with something else tomorrow. So team, thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in again. Thank you to yourself, Remy, as well, for coming on the podcast as well, and providing us
always happy
some good content as well. And team, if you haven't already, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, your Nan's TV, make sure you're following the podcast, and also check out the other socials as well. We're on Twitter, at simply_spud. I announce a lot of announcements on there quite regularly, so make sure you're checking it there. And there's a lot of content going to be coming up over the next kind of week. I've got a lot of things planned, so make sure that you're sticking around, you're checking it out. And obviously, team, thank you again for being involved in this podcast. I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.